Welcome. Welcome to H&D Abroad. Good evening. It is a beautiful Friday evening. I'm trying a little something new. I'm not usually on Fridays, but this was not a usual week. And so I thought I would come back to a platform that I feel that is important for sharing and for giving to our regular community and to the expanded community of folks that are interested in caring for themselves, caring for their mental health, their physical well-being, and being in community with people who are living life with intention and positive energy. So welcome. My name is Dee. This is the channel that I share with my husband, H&D Abroad. We are in this space sharing our journey moving abroad in preparation for 2025 and all of the decisions and intentionality that we have toward the move, which includes the nights that I spend with other sisters talking about self-care for Black women. And so I am so honored, thankful that Tori said yes. She is Prophet Mother. She has been in our audience before. And so I reached out because she posted that she had a meditation channel, and I was like, "Say what?" And so I wanted her to share it on our channel, and then this week, and all of my emotions happened, and I said, "Would you mind coming on today?" And she said yes. So Tori, welcome to the H&D Abroad community. Hello, Miss Mocha Mama. Thankful for folks that are joining us. If you're joining us in the future, hello. We hope that the future is as beautiful and bright as we hope it is. So, Tori, if you'll introduce yourself, your information is in the description box. But if you'll give a description of who you are, and then we'll get started on what we came to talk about today.
Okay, first, let me thank you so much for the opportunity to be here. And I know that asking at the last minute for the host can be very nerve-wracking too, right? And so I'm glad that everything aligned and that I had a Friday evening free to spend with my sister. I am Tori Prophet. I am a licensed marriage and family therapist, and I have just launched my new YouTube channel for guided meditations. I have been in the Exodus community for some time and feeling my way and hearing the messages about getting on YouTube and using your voice. And it took me a while to figure out how I wanted to do that in a way that felt right for my nervous system. And I think I may have found it for now. And that's in the form of guided meditations. And so it just was a very validating for you to even invite me here to do that. And I really appreciate being here and being able to hold space for us right now.
Absolutely. So you can find Tori at Prophet Mother Guided Meditations on YouTube. And so let's see. So Winsome is asking if you were an Exodus Summit speaker.
Yes, that's right. Thank you, Winsome. I was an Exodus Summit speaker last year. I spoke about delegating, right? And sharing and asking for help and not being the mule for everyone.
Absolutely. And so getting to know you, this is not it's not a random coincidence that you are a person on the internet. This is a part of your body of work. This is an outgrowth of the work that you do. So I was going to read, if you'd like, I can read your bio, or you can just share among friends.
If you don't mind,
about yourself and why you why you have prepared yourself to be able to give in this way.
Oh, what a good question. Um, well, I mean, if you want to share my bio, you can do that. I will answer the question though. I have realized that part of my unique gifting is holding space, holding difficult space to hold,
Mhm.
holding heavy space for others. It's not something it's something I've known for a long time, but didn't really understand. I'm understanding more of it now. And so I hope that makes sense as I say it. I
Mhm.
haven't really articulated this before, but
Mm.
I've learned that that was my gifting. My unique genius is just the holding of space, which is hard to figure out how to do that when you see so many other people doing their own thing. It's
Mhm.
hard to figure out, like, well, what does that even look like? Right? I was I think Adelia calls it funny acting, right? Like the funny acting kid or the quiet kid, the observer,
Mhm.
right? The person who was called boring. And that's
Mm.
fine, whatever. But I started figuring out, oh, I know what that means now. I just can hold space. I can sit in silence and I can take what you have to release and I can release it.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
somehow that's helpful for people.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It is a gift. It is a unique gift, and I'm glad that you were able to identify it and share it with the world. Professionally, Tori is a licensed therapist and consultant who is passionate about empowering women from all walks of life to pursue their dreams by tapping into their inner hero. Yes, I'm looking down because I am reading her bio. With a unique blend of empathy and expertise, she guides her clients through the process of aligning their thoughts, feelings, and actions to unlock their full potential. Tori believes that every woman has the power to move mountains and is dedicated to helping them do just that, one inspired step at a time. As a person who has felt socially awkward in this world, I greet you into this space.
Yes.
Who senses the world first,
Hmm.
and has deep emotions that I sit with regularly to understand not just what is presented on the surface, but that there are many things churning beneath from prior experiences, prior knowing, DNA knowing, and we know that is epigenetics. And my particular perspective on life is needed in this world and first should be treasured by me. That is what 51 years will do for you, is you will learn that all of the experiences that I've had are not necessarily a negative. They are and have prepared me to give in a very unique way. Um, I know that from working with Winsome as well. And so it is an honor to have you in this space to share first your journey to knowing and holding space and the value of guided meditation. And then, y'all, we're going to actually do a guided practice together as a part of today's discussion. So, Tori, why don't you share a little bit of, if you want to share a little bit of your personal story or professional story, in addition to what you knew as a child, what were some of the things that you've picked up along the way that have told you that meditation is an important part of how you love and care for you?
Mm, really good question, Dee. Well, just growing up as a quiet child, and wasn't meditating then. Who knew what Black folks knew about meditating? I mean, not my parents, right? But just being quiet, spending time in silence, a lot of alone time, and being happy with that, right?
Mhm.
I've always carried that with me. And then my third grade teacher who introduced journaling to me, that blew my world wide open.
Mhm.
Right. And so that was at the time, my meditation, my mindfulness was writing all that was inside of me that no one could really see. Right.
Mhm.
Straight face, just, the kid on the fun ride that doesn't look like she's having fun, but is. Right. All of that was able to be released, you know, and then, but really meditating the way we know it, right, didn't really enter my practice until I started practicing as a therapist, which was, only about 5 or 6 years ago. I was
Mhm.
trained as a therapist about 20 years ago, but I didn't work as one until about 5 or 6 years ago because I was raising babies, you know. And so, having enough quiet space to be able to meditate didn't happen until a few years ago.
I
Before
completely
that,
understand
yeah,
that.
before that, it was still the journaling. The journaling in new motherhood was a lifeline. And so getting into this space now where I've been able to have some quiet to reflect. I've been, learning about meditation, learning about different practices, and then I became trained as a brain spotting practitioner, an offshoot of EMDR, if anyone is familiar with,
Mhm.
that type of therapy modality. Brain spotting is similar. It's a technique, it's not therapy. But getting into that, I really felt like, ooh, this is aligned. This feels really good for me. And so that's kind of it in a nutshell.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing your origin story. I feel a kindredness here.
Yes, I do too. I do.
Um, let's see. So one of the things that I'm recognizing this week is that um, an event happened, and then people began to express themselves, their emotional self. Um, some people were saying that, I feel like I have been punched in the stomach. I
Mm,
feel this, things happen in the world, but I don't think that I have heard to this level people expressing their emotions
mhm,
or having a visible
mhm,
response in such a profound way, and desiring to be in community with other people to process that. And so, can you talk a little bit from using your professional therapy training, but also just um, from your pathway of knowing and getting to know yourself better? What is there a benefit to understanding that, yes, there are words that are coming out of your mouth about how you feel, but
mhm.
there is a connection with actually what is happening in your body.
Sure. Sure, absolutely. Indeed. Punched in the gut, that's a perfect phrase to look at because that's a very we would call it limbic language. It's,
Mhm.
thinking of the limbic system, right? The body of nerves. And when you go into this fight, flight, or freeze kind of state, when something feels like it's threatening for you, right?
Mhm.
It's not surprising when your words come out and they sound very dramatic. That's the language of our like amygdala, right? When
Mm.
it's triggered, when our lower brain is an alarm, right? And that's what the alarm sounds like sometimes, is that very dramatic language. And then what's going on in the body also is a lot of just maybe hyper alertness, right, to
Mhm.
different things, a lot of bodily activation, and it can be hard not it can be hard to know what to do with that if you don't ever give yourself a chance to be still and quiet and
Mhm.
sit with it, right? I think we have all learned to distract ourselves from our thoughts, from our bodies, from from anything, you know.
Mhm.
Just keep hustling, keep moving, keep, and then when something hits you and is a shock to the system, it can be so dysregulating.
Yes.
And if you're still in this environment where you just got to keep it moving anyway, it's going to build up and build up and build up.
And that buildup, I, this is a Black woman space, and we talk a lot about the strong Black woman in this space. And one aspect of the strong Black woman is that we can stuff things down, but it's still building up.
Sure.
Are you able to talk about, because I know that's a part of your work, is helping to navigate some cultural aspects to mental health and mindfulness, especially in the Black woman space?
Hmm. Well, and there was a time, and I think many of us would say there still is a time where it hasn't felt safe to let that out, right? That makes sense. It makes sense to hold things in if letting it out puts you in more danger,
Hmm.
right? And there was a time when that was an ever present danger. And for many people, it feels that way still. And so what I really like to do is to teach people how to take these moments when and where they can, how to make it fit into their current lifestyle, how to kind of titrate it in, right? Add it in here and there when and where you can. And then it can grow and grow and grow. And they can create their own safe space. When the world is unsafe, you can be safe. And I think that's a skill that we have our ancestral knowing. Our ancestors had that skill, right? And we still have that too. The quiet helps us to tap into it.
Absolutely. I the ancestral knowing. There were we may not have called it mindfulness back in the day, whether you're talking about our current lifetimes or the lifetime of my mother's
Sure.
generation or my grandmother's generation. But what I began to recognize when I started paying attention to the women in my family is we've been doing some things for a while.
Mhm.
Grounding is very cultural to
Sure.
to Blacks in America. I'll say it that way.
Yeah.
I didn't know it. The first time my husband's grandmother did it, I was like, "What are you doing to my children?" She
Yeah.
took when they were about 1 year old, and they were beginning to learn to walk. For each of them, she took their shoes and their socks off and put their feet on the ground.
Oh, yeah.
And at first, I didn't know what she
Mhm.
was doing, but I took a moment to listen. And she talked about the earth and how they are a part of the earth and that they are connected to the earth and the air and the sky and the water and that they are an outgrowth of that and to be comfortable. I mean, I think one of my kids, I don't think he would put shoes on till today.
Yeah.
Have to, but that was one aspect. I was like, oh, we call that grounding, but
Mhm.
we've always been doing that.
Yeah.
The the part of my mother's grandmother that that I feel like I didn't recognize, but I am grateful for is the need for greenery in as a part of
Mhm.
her life, as a part of her care. I didn't know that gardening and taking care of plants was a part of a mindfulness
Yeah,
practice, but she
sure.
would spend time, she had plants everywhere on her front porch or
Mhm.
wraparound porch in the yard, all the way around. She kept a garden, and that was her do not disturb time. And
Mhm.
recognizing that a mother of 10 children could
That's
get
good.
her do not disturb time from
Yes.
being outside to care for her plants. She sent her children to do many things: cook, clean, repair, but her garden was
It's
hers. She did
hers.
not reassign, she did not delegate that. That was hers. And I was like, look at this. I got a
Mhm.
whole, I was witnessing, but not understanding. Are there
Sure.
other examples that you would think to share that people may not recognize as a part of maybe cultural practices that really
Mm.
are a part, that could be a part of mindfulness?
Sure, sure. And I love that Winsome says she grew up going barefoot and sticking her toes in the mud. Yes, absolutely. And I allowed my children to do that too, but it was less about that stuff and more about like, oh, their foot development. But I'm glad that, we had that other benefit too. Well, yeah, and if we're thinking in terms of mindfulness, I don't know, putting that label on it, I
Mhm,
think can sometimes constrict what we think of as mindfulness, right? But I think anything that helps you focus on the here and the now and the present is really what we're talking about with mindfulness,
mhm,
right? And so um, for me, writing is an act of mindfulness, pen to paper. It helps me be very present
mhm,
because I got a ton of ideas and I can go off in my brain, real easily. But so writing, but people would probably think of that too. I think anything that brings you to the present. Um, when I'm working with new moms who have very little time to themselves, um, and I can get them to take regular showers because I think they have a right to that, right? I
absolutely.
teach them mindfulness in the shower, just being present, right?
Mhm,
Just being present with the water, the sound of it, the feel of it, right? Being present with the smell of whatever soap you use, how it feels against the skin, right?
mhm,
The travel of the water or the soap up or down your body, the
mhm,
temperatures. Is it steamy in there? Or are you taking a colder shower? The prickle of your skin, all of those things, just being present with all of the five senses or one of them at a time,
mhm.
right? Being aware of what you're seeing, hearing, tasting, smelling, touching. Girl, have you heard of this forest bathing? Have you heard of that?
I have. Okay,
Can I?
so I might be a little weird, but that and frolicking are my new, like, when I can find somewhere to go. I want to do both of those.
Well, okay. Well, when I first heard about forest bathing and I read what it was, I was like, why are we giving these things new words? You're just sitting in the woods. I do that all the time. But frolicking, I don't know what that is.
Oh yeah, because it's been very popular. I've been
Oh,
following on Instagram. It's Black men frolicking. So literally they're like running through the field. I mean,
oh,
like you
okay.
tapping into that
Play.
childhood connection to the earth, the ground. They are literally running, rolling on the ground. I mean, it's just
That's
in
cute.
pure joy. In just pure joy because it is there. I think we come to a point in, I guess, in the development of trying to be socially acceptable, where I don't, if you've seen it, where the kids are running out, the third graders are just running out of the school to the playground. You remember just the
Yeah.
exhilaration of feeling the wind on your body, and you just over time you go, that when you're an adult, you don't
Yeah.
run like that. You don't,
Sure.
you don't. That play is not a part of the adult life,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
and I think when you were talking about being present, I think you can bring presence into your everyday life.
Absolutely.
Um,
Absolutely.
I think for me, what I've learned in therapy is as and which has helped me to understand my meditation practice is I've always feared spiraling. If I'm
Mm-hmm.
experiencing intense emotion, sadness, grief, disappointment, or feeling on the precipice of depression, I'm fearful of spiraling.
Mm-hmm.
If I touch intentionally that
Sure.
emotion.
Sure.
And what therapy has taught me is that I can learn to balance feeling my feelings
Mm-hmm.
and staying present, saying, I am safe, I am okay, I'm in a trusted, safe space. And so being able to practice that takes intention, but the presentness
Mm-hmm.
um, can be if you're eating a meal, put your phone down
Yes.
and smell your food,
Mm-hmm.
chew your food. Like I'm thinking about the textures. I'm thinking
Mm-hmm.
about if I'm taking a sip of water that I'm drinking and feeling the liquid enter my body.
Mm-hmm.
And you can sometimes if you get a cold drink, y'all
Yeah,
have
you
done
can
it
feel it
before.
going down.
You can feel it go all the way down, especially if you're really thirsty
Yeah,
on a hot day. And
absolutely.
so I think what I am inviting people to recognize is that meditation, mindfulness, presentness can be invited into your life. It doesn't have to be something separate. You and I both have talked
Mm-hmm.
about being with new moms, and they're just like, I used to have a time when I could go exercise, and I'm like, girl, lift that baby. There you go. That's you're
Right. Work it in there.
incorporating it into your everyday life. And so we've talked, I mean, the title is Guided Meditation for Positive Energy. And so um, I am careful about what enters my energetic field.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because people bring all kind of emotions, and whether you're in the workspace and
Yeah.
there's some toxicness that people are dragging with them, how do you feel that meditation is important to that positive energy maintenance, even when you're entering spaces or people are entering your space that may try to counter that positivity?
Sure. I mean, I think with the kind of the two things that we're talking about is maybe like set aside meditation time and also just incorporating mindfulness, having a mindful life, right? Both of those things are helpful with that because it allows you the space to be able to center yourself. It allows you the opportunity to get to know yourself and how your body is responding to these stimuli so that you can recognize that, know how it feels in your body, and process it, I think, differently. Because like when you're in an environment, maybe it's a toxic environment, and a stimulus comes to you, right? And you feel threatened, danger. A coworker is asking intrusive questions, or is giving you that look, or you're being micromanaged, all those types of things. You may be aware of your thoughts, but you may not necessarily be aware of what's going on in your body at the same time. And that disconnect is just not, I don't have some big therapy words for it. It's just not good, right? That disconnect, that we've been socialized in a way where being disconnected from our whole self is the norm. And so when we're able to, mindfulness gives us the opportunity to reintegrate that so that we are able to be aware of what's going on and regulate, to self-regulate, self-soothe in those moments, maybe compartmentalize if we need to, but knowing later, I'm going to deal with this later. I may not be able to break down right now, and it's okay to break down when you need to. I may not be able to do it now, but I will deal with it later, as opposed to just ignoring it, right? I recognize something just happened to me. I'm going to go and take care of myself when it's safe to do that. Right? It's a little bit like we have this overlapping kind of world, with the parents and the parenting, and it's a little bit like when you see your child getting upset and either you ignore it or you're able to tend to it with empathy. Right? I think mindfulness is kind of like giving yourself some empathy, right? And nurturing, not just saying, girl, get over that, you'll be fine. No, sis.
Because eventually the child's going to have a temper tantrum, and it's going to need to be dealt with.
Sure.
Okay, so you have created two things that I want to make sure that, because there was something we talked about before we went live, and I said, how do you, I want us to talk about, I'm experiencing an emotion. I think it's just, I'm reacting, but actually something's happening in my body. How does that, can you give some examples of how it can show up?
In the body?
Show up in the body.
There's so many ways, right? Our bodies are so amazing and are trying to tell us things all the time. So, and I think maybe some of the most obvious ones that we're all probably familiar with is like facial tension, right? How many of us clench our teeth when we're concentrating or stressed or, that kind of thing? Just that kind of tension in your jaw, your neck. That's pretty common. I think people are probably familiar with their heart starts beating really fast, or they start to get a little sweaty. Right. Those are things I think we're all familiar with, but maybe there's more subtle ones. Maybe there's a little bit of something going on in your stomach. Your stomach feels a little different. Or maybe it's something more serious like inflammation. Right. Maybe it's something like your skin, like maybe the texture of your skin seems a little different. Like, we know that stress shows up in the body and that stress makes us more susceptible to health problems. Absolutely. The stress hormones running through your body, if they're constant, will throw everything out of whack. Right. And so if there's a pain or a twinge, just asking yourself, where did that come from? Is this familiar? And if you often are always feeling that thing in this place, you need to look into that, and be curious about, okay, well, I experienced this here, but not over here. What's going on? Right. But if you're never paying attention to it, then you're missing all the clues and signs that your body is trying to tell you that maybe you're not safe or something. You're not well.
Absolutely. For me, it's shallow breathing. Sometimes for me, it is a twitch. If my eye starts to jump more, I'm just like, that's not normal to me. If I tend to have more gas or bloating, digestive discomfort or irregularity,
Mhm.
And I'm talking about constipation or diarrhea, to be
Mhm.
transparent.
Sure.
When those are indicators that something, it's it's not just a solution for a Pepsid, or
Right.
if it is recurring, if you're having difficulty sleeping, it may not be that you need to take a sleep medication. There may be some
Mhm.
underlying things. And so when I reached out to you, I was like, can we do a body scan? Can we be intentional about recognizing and releasing, literally from the top of your head, from your scalp, to your feet, just to create an awareness. It's that practice for me is something that I love to do before going to sleep. Like, I find someone, and I've got a couple of people, and now you are at the top of the list of who I'm adding to my those the
Mhm.
playlist that I have for body scans, because when you're aware, you know what, I didn't even recognize I had a headache. How I've had a headache every day this week, and I
Mhm.
never have headaches. Those kinds
Mhm.
of those kinds of awareness are things that, if you take a minute and recognize that sometimes I've experienced an event
Mhm.
I've had a response, in my brain, but my body is
Mhm.
also from an emotion, but also it's triggering hormone release
Mhm.
of different, like you talked about, cortisol and other hormones, that adrenaline. Um, then I need to also walk it back, being present with my
Sure.
body, so that I can release it. So, thank you, Dominique. Yes, please, if you are in the audience today, welcome Prophet Mother. Her information for her channel, she is at Prophet Mother Guided Meditation. I believe that is,
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I'm just at Prophet Mother on YouTube and on
yes.
Instagram. Mhm.
And so her information, and then how you can work with her, is also in the description. But this is a chance to practice. If you've not done it before, or you feel like you need it today, especially today after the week we've had, I think this take this opportunity to try it. And then I'll come back after Tori has done this practice with us. And if you can give your feedback, if you're in the audience, if you're joining us in the future, I'd like for people to give their responses if they feel comfortable
Sure.
about trying this, especially if it's your first time. So, Tori, if you wanted to go ahead, I'm gonna
Okay.
pull myself down, and then
Okay. Yeah. If you and
have
you
you
can start
share your
some
screen.
soft music anytime that you want to.
Yeah.
Okay. Again, thank you so much for letting me do this. All right. I'm hoping that everyone can hear me. Um, we are going to do a body scan meditation today, and we're going to incorporate something new that some of you may not be familiar with. It's not scary. It's not activating. I'm not here to take anyone outside of their comfort zone. This is just a chance for you to process on a deep level whatever you need to, whatever you feel safe processing in an environment like this. Okay, I am going to I'm going to share my screen and give you something even more calming than my own face to look at. Let me see. Give me 1 minute. Okay. Now, if you guys can all see that, you can let us know in the chat so we can work around any issues that might be coming up. This is my first time doing this. All right, and you don't need to look at the screen. This is just there as a placeholder for anyone who needs it. So first, let's take just a few minutes to relax. Connect with your body. Just notice your breath, okay? Find a comfortable position, allowing your body to feel fully supported. You can have your eyes open or closed and take a slow, deep breath in and exhale. Letting yourself settle into this very moment. Okay. Now, thinking about whatever is coming up for you around the events of this week. Letting yourself access those emotions that have been top of mind. Thinking about the reality that you are living in right now, whatever that means for you, right? And however that has changed for you in light of our current events. Okay, just bring your mind to that. And if those emotions are a little uncomfortable, that's okay. Keep it where it's manageable for you. Okay? And just noticing where those emotions are showing up in your body. Okay? There might be thoughts that come up too, but for now we're just noticing the emotions and where in the body they're showing up. And we're going to bear witness to them today. Okay, just observing whatever is coming up in your body. Starting at the top of your head. Okay. Notice any sensations there, tension, stress. And then moving on to observe your face, your eyes, your jaw, maybe even your neck, your forehead. Okay, when you think of all the emotions that you have been experiencing this week, do you feel it in your face? Moving down, observing your shoulders, your chest, is there any tension there? Heaviness? Something you can't quite describe? Noticing your stomach, right? Arms, hands, fingers, anywhere else that grabs your attention when you're thinking about all that is going on. When that uncertainty comes up, what does my future look like now? What is going to happen to me or my loved ones? What's my next move? Notice where those emotions are showing up in your body. Okay, and when you have done that, see if you can give it a number between 0 and 10. Okay, 10 being the strongest, 0 being you don't feel it. Okay, what number would you give this? Okay. How aware are you of this feeling in this part of your body? Notice that number and then stay with this moment. Sit with that. Okay, and now, noticing anywhere that's less intense in your body. Noticing anywhere that you feel more grounded, rooted, or even neutral. This might be in your back, your hips or your bottom. This might be your legs or your feet or anywhere else. And what I want you to know about this area is that you can come back to it any time that you need, any time that you wish to feel this groundedness. This is your resource. And it is here for you, and you can stay there as long as you want. But for now, we will turn to that other space, the one that was a little more activated, a little more intense. Okay? Turn back to that place where you noticed more intensity and more emotion. Okay? And as you do that, you might find yourself gazing off to a particular spot and feel welcome to hold that gaze on that spot. Or you can explore and see if gazing somewhere else shifts that sensation for you. Okay? You can bring your eyes to the left. Is there any change? Center. Right. Any little shifts in that intensity of these emotions that have come up for you this week? Wherever you land is okay and is where you belong. Wherever you feel most connected to these feelings, wherever it feels the strongest, scan up, down, left, and right in the general area until it feels like the right spot for you. This is a practice called brain spotting, allowing you to access whatever is stored deeply in your mind and process it. So let us just sit with that. And I'll give you a few minutes. Noticing whatever that is happening here. Other sensations in your body. Images may be coming to your mind. Are there other feelings, other emotions, maybe some thoughts wanting your attention? I'm asking you to hold space for that and let that flow and see what happens next. Holding it. Whatever is coming up for you is okay. You may like to do the scan again. See what is coming up. Remembering to breathe. And returning to your resource spot as you need to. You may notice random thoughts coming up, images that don't seem like they fit, and it's all okay. Or you may feel like nothing is happening for you right now. That's part of the experience too. If you wonder if you're doing it right, just notice if that's a theme for you, asking for your attention right now. Eyes closed or open, whatever feels good. Where do you notice the fear, the uncertainty? You may notice some discomfort coming up around holding space for yourself this long in this way. Just be curious about that experience. And in a moment, I will close us out. And with just a few moments left, I invite you to notice how your body and your thoughts are responding to whatever it is you're experiencing right now. How are you responding to this holding of space in this new, maybe new way? And on your next in-breath, slowly let your awareness begin to come back to the room where you are. Letting your attention go to anything different between where you were when we began and where you are now. Subtle differences, slight shifts, maybe something big. And coming back to that scale from 0 to 10, where are you now? My hope is that it's lower, but if not, that's okay. I got you. Breathe in and exhale. Observe your body and your brain coming back online, giving it a moment to process all that it's been doing. You may want to slowly begin to stretch. Okay. You may feel the need to do some free writing if you have a pen and paper nearby. Just letting the words flow. Free drawing. Any movement that brings your brain back online and into this space where you sit. Okay, we're letting this process draw to a close. And when you feel finished, take one last deep breath in and exhale. Thank you.
So it was an honor to do that practice with you. It was an honor to share the space with our audience today,
Absolutely.
to try out, maybe, as you said, a new practice, or to try a mindfulness practice in a new way.
Sure.
I'm feeling a lot of things. And what I want to do to bring us together is to stay in the heart space and not in the logic space.
Mm-hmm.
Is to say that being present with yourself is a gift you should give yourself, even if it's small snippets of time throughout the day. For me, it's putting my hand on my chest
Mm-hmm.
and to recognize I'm shallow breathing, give my body some deep breaths.
Yes.
To recognize, that I may be hungry is usually what happens. I haven't had a sip of water. It brings an awareness of my body, and invites me to integrate my brain and my body together again. And so I'm glad that was a part of today's practice as well, is that we were able to kind of come out and then to come back.
Mm-hmm.
And that is the gift you've given us today. The gift that you continue to give on your channel, especially the integration, as you all heard, of to do a practice and then to be ready to express, whether it's singing or humming, drawing, writing, to allow it to run
Sure.
the course
Yes.
based on the time that you have. Are there any other closing thoughts or awareness that you'd like for our audience to take with them?
Well, one thing that just came up for me is there's no right way to do this. And I want to make sure to share that message, because I think there are many of us in our shared communities. That's a thing, right? That's a theme, wanting to do things the right way. And so for for practices like this, incorporating it in, sprinkling it in, that's perfect if that's what you can do, right? You may not be ready to spend an hour chanting, you know? There's no wrong way to do this. There's no perfect right way to do this. Just give yourself some needed attention the best way you can. If you don't know how, we're here to help. Dee, you shared some really wonderful ideas on how you incorporate mindfulness. Just being aware of thirst. So simple, but not always so easy. Right? You've got the ideas. I've got some ideas. We have access to resources. So there's no excuse for anyone to not begin to do this, because if you have a question, just ask us.
Tori has some beautiful resources that I've linked to on her page. She's got a virtual coffee. You can have coffee with her and just take some time to talk with someone who is familiar with the with, I guess you could say, with therapy, but also with just different modalities that you can try on to see if they work for you. She's, as I said, she's on YouTube, she's on Instagram, but you have bilateral music on your as a part of your offerings, y'all. I She has a Facebook group. Tori has a Facebook group, and she asked these journaling prompt kind of questions. And I was just like, always wanted to be consistent. That's kind of the mastery that you feel like you need to work toward. And you're like, oh, and I love how on your channel you give us the space to have and then to express that through journaling with prompts. I loved doing that, especially. So I'm just sharing that I have benefited. Y'all know, if a sister learns of a resource, she's going to share it. And that's what I do. And I want to say thank you to Tori for joining us today, for being just a beautiful resource. As I said, if you are a Black woman and you are looking for community, Expo Summit is the gift that keeps on giving.
Absolutely. Oh, yes, so much. I have met so many beautiful, wonderful, supportive sisters in this community, and experience I had not had before.
Yes.
But I was open to having. And yes, it pays in dividends.
Absolutely. So I want to say thank you to Lori. Thank you to Winsome, who I've had on the channel before. I'm going to have her again soon. Y'all, Dominique Ham, thank you so much for showing and sharing with us today. Thank you, Ms. Mocha Mama. And for everyone that is joining us in the future, please, at Prophet Mother is on YouTube. I invite you to like and subscribe to her channel. I am Dee from H&D Abroad. We encourage you to come share this video. We have this self-care space regularly, so hit that notification bell. And thank you for allowing me to go live this week and for sharing this peace space with you today. So we'll say goodbye for now.
Take care.